Hello and welcome back to the Pride Pod here on Loud and Proud Orlando, where the off season continues and we are still without a GM. But we're going to talk about some exciting news. We got Jacquie Ovalle winning the Marta Award. We're going to talk about the GM search and what we think might be happening there. The NWSLPA versus NWSL, the Rodman rule drama. Is Cat Macario coming to the NWSL ? And we're going to answer some fan questions that I put out asking for today. So welcome to the Pride Pod. I'm excited to be here with Luis. Let's dive into it and talk everything Orlando Pride. How are you, buddy?
Well, good. Start of a new week, close to the holidays. So we appreciate your support that you have provided us throughout the year as well. If you're watching or listening live, thank you. About 10 people live right now joining. Jacquie Ovalle, excited, won the Marta Award. Concerned about not having a GM right now. Rodman is no worth of a rule, having her own rule, but we'll discuss that later. And then I'm excited for Cat Macario, and if the team, what a best way for Orlando Pride to kind of show that we're going to be taking that the ball that Haley Carter left here and taking it and running with it is by offering good money to Cat Macario and have Marta give her a call, be like, hey, you want to come play with the best in the world? And then boom, and then we'll make it happen. It'll be tremendous. So hopefully, I think Cat Macario coming to the NWSL and then Rodman possibly leaving the NWSL. I think it's it's probably the way it's going to be. But I like Cat being back to NWSL in my opinion. So, but with that and more with the goal from Lizbeth Ovalle. Was called in Spanish El Camaroncín, which means the little shrimp.
The little.
What you laugh? Look at the little shrimp.
Is that the move that she made, or is that what they call her?
Okay, the little shrimp.
The scorpion. I thought it was a scorpion kick. No,
it's more like a shrimp.
It's a shrimp
for Mexicans.
The little shrimp. I can't.
So they call it the little shrimp.
For anyone who doesn't know, the best goal scored in women's soccer is called the Marta Award. I wonder why that is. And Marta's goal that she scored in the semifinal last year of the NWSL Cup against KC Current, where she basically, knocked 3 defenders on their ass. That was up against this. So it was like Marta versus Jacquie in the Marta Awards, and Jackie's goal won it. I think if you haven't seen this, I don't know. Yeah. Are you living under a rock? But we'll play it again. It's a beautiful, what did you call it, Luis?
El Camaroncín, which is the little shrimp.
It's a beautiful little shrimp.
Yeah.
All right. Look at that. Let's watch this go.
Oh.
I mean,
it's a little shrimp right there.
Just incredible. I mean, like the audacity to just double jump flick with the little shrimp, the scorpion kick over the goalkeeper. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Now, I don't know. Dev asked her if she meant it to hit it that way.
She must have. She planned that.
And she said, yeah, I did plan it. And it just, it was great. Apparently she's shredded before in the in set piece training. So
Yeah.
with Tigres, so um, yeah, it
Yeah.
is
Insane goal.
It is a Scorpion King kick, but I mean they call it a little shrimp. I'm not joking. So I
I
think
mean,
1.1
incredible goal.
million. That goal cost 1.1 million dollars.
I mean, of course, we want to see her do something like this in NWSL, and maybe there'll be that moment. We've talked a lot about what we need from Elizabeth in the off season, right? She's got to hit the gym. She's got to bulk up a bit. But the talent is technically she's got great skills. I mean, what a goal. And then Marta on when this came out put out a video and she was wearing her jersey at the time that she won this award. So that was kind of cool to see. But I mean, what does it say about Orlando Pride, Luis? We got two. Not only is the award for the best goal ever named after like our star player and talisman in Marta, but we have two players that are up for the award in our squad fighting it out. Probably the most likely to win the award were those two goals based on all of them that I saw. I'm so upset that Marta's goal didn't win it because that for me was like the most amazing goal I've ever seen in person. This goal, of course, is incredible technical skill and like the ambition to do it. But just personally, I really enjoyed watching Marta, chop and change where we dropped all those KC defenders in that game. So a very just win by Jackie to beat out such an incredible goal for which this award is named after, right?
Yeah, I mean she's the second person who received this award. You know, a name after Marta. So it is huge for Mexican soccer. It's huge for Liga MX. It shows the partnership that not only NWSL and Liga MX can develop in the women's realm, women's world, women's soccer. So it's great. I think for also CONCACAF, I think it's fantastic. So it means a lot, for CONCACAF to have a best goal, like it's huge. And so also it's just kind of when this happened, I mean, when this goal happened, it was against Guadalajara, which is Chivas, and they are a massive team. They're a huge team. They're one of the biggest supporter groups in Mexico. But this came also paired up to her coming into Orlando after she scored this goal, and so obviously this catapult her to have the world record transfer fee of 1.1 million. I mean, I guess definitely Tigres took a clip of this and showed it probably to Haley Carter. It's like, this is some of the things Ovalle can provide for y'all. And so again, just like any other Latin American player that comes to play the sport here in the United States, it's a process on the adaptation side. So I know a lot of people may feel a little, she's gonna get a full preseason with the team, and I no doubt believe that she's gonna up her game next season. So I can't wait to see Jackie score a couple of little shrimps for Orlando Pride this season, John. Give me a shrimp platter.
I mean, I'm excited. Let's see what Jackie could do. I think I would love to see a moment. It doesn't have to be that incredible. It doesn't have to win a Marta Award, but let's see more moments of like magic, right? She's the magician. I want to see more magic this season from her. All right, Louise, let's move on and discuss the looming cloud that is still no general manager as to speak of. The club we know is they're searching it out, they're figuring things out, but also this time of year they usually have a couple weeks off. I don't know if that's going to apply to the team working on this because I think it's kind of urgent. But as news comes out, like we'll talk about in a minute, around Cat Macario, there's a question mark as like, are we able to do anything at the moment? Like who's running the ship? Who's making these decisions? Because when these opportunities for players come up, if we don't have a GM, are we just not able to bid? So your kind of thoughts on that and what might happen and what could happen with our GM search.
November 18th, the Pride announced that Haley Carter was stepped down. And just weeks later, December the 3rd, Haley Carter was announced as the new president of soccer operations of the Washington Spirit, leaving a huge ceiling. I mean, I'm talking about a huge mountain of I mean, whoever's coming next is again has gonna have to jump that wall and or break it down, you know. And I think that's the type of person that we're looking for, I believe, as a club. And as of later, the Pride have not yet named a permanent successor for Haley Carter. I know the last thing that we heard from the club was a methodical search. Right now, I've contacted the club, and obviously they're not going to answer right now because they probably are wrapping gifts and things like that. I think it's understandable. But I mean, I'm sure they're going to be finding somebody soon. I have a feeling on a personal level that it may be somebody that's internally here that might have be working under Carter to maybe maintain what she has going on and the culture that she built during the 2024 double winning season. You know, I have a feeling that it has to be somebody that's going to find what she's left and again break the wall down and just keep building up, you know, of what she started. So hopefully, you know, again, it's gonna the GM is gonna inherit a very strong foundation. You got elite coach right now, Seb Hines. Which congratulations to Seb because he just got his brand new license for U.S. Soccer. He took a picture of it. So congratulations to Seb. Also, new signings like Haley Mace as well. Also, you have Marta and Emily Sams and players that are already 23 players are under contract for 2026. So right now, I feel like the primary goal for the incoming GM is building a bridge between both brands. Somebody that is able also to address some of the center back depth and also planning what's going to be the Pride looking like after Marta, because the legend is going to be turning 40 in early 2026. So those I feel like, you know, would it be somebody that's coming from the inside? You know, who are those people that are near her? Maybe somebody gets the chance to step on those shoes. I think is probably important to do that. I would love to keep what Haley had going. In my opinion, I really I work for some of the stuff I do is HR, and so a lot of people is you may get somebody that's super ultra qualified, but they may have the values or the just the mind of working under your system, you know. And we need to find somebody like Haley, for example. Haley, it was her brand is a brand new position for her, something new, and look how she left Orlando Pride. I mean, with actually Orlando in general, because the double is the first professional major trophy for a professional team in the whole entire city. Not even the Magic or Orlando City or nobody has won it in the Central Florida like the Pride has. So, you know, of all side words says Martha for GM. This is a joke. I mean, I wouldn't mind. Yeah.
It's definitely a joke.
Do you think so? You
Yeah,
don't
no,
think?
she's not. I don't think. I think that's like Martha's nightmare to be
Yeah,
paperwork
true,
and
true that.
legal matters. I think a few things. One, we have to hope that the longer they're taking to decide the new GM is because they're trying to make sure they get it right and they're not just rushing to get somebody in. I think we have to have faith that it's a similar team that picked Haley, and hopefully they can do it again and get it right again and get the right person in, the right candidate. Um, I think that at the moment there's probably like a team of people that Seb and some of the scouting team and the recruitment team and the analysis team sitting around, weekly meetings, whatever they have about recruitment. They're probably still doing everything they would do just with a new person, kind of leading the meeting. So when stuff like Cat Macario comes up, you at least hope that we're functional enough to be able to be like, hey, should we make a move on this? Let's talk about it. Everything doesn't just stop because Haley's not here. Where it's very common, just like when your coach goes, you got an interim coach. At the moment, there's an interim team of people that are hopefully making these decisions. And I think that's really what my big thing is. Like, I don't want to be just missing out on players like Cat Macario, which will bring us on to talking about that now, because we just don't have a crew in place. So we got to hope that we do have some kind of team and they're able to make some decisions. And we're hoping that they're kind of tiding us over until we can then, get the full new GM in who's going to, lead the ship and decide maybe larger plans. I hope we're not just treading water. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm looking at, for example, some of Haley Carter's staff right now. And I mean, you have, obviously, we all know Jolanda Thomas, right? I mean, we know also, when it comes to team operations, Emma Noonan, right? I don't know, again, if these are people that could step in, but I mean, we gotta get somebody that has the same mindset. Maybe Kat Connor, director of scouting and analytics.
Yeah, I think Kat's probably leading the scouting team at the moment and working with Seb directly on this kind of stuff, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Now, it definitely has to be somebody that has the ambition that Haley had, because that's been a step. I mean, I wouldn't say step up, 3 steps up or 4 steps up than what it was before when it comes to signing players. I mean, you're talking about Haley poaching phenomenal young talent from the universities, number one. So that scouting team, it's elite. So that's Cat Connor right there. Um, Also, you're talking about um, the signings, being ambitious to get a Barbara Banda, you know, uh, have the balls to renew Marta at her age, and then Marta having that season, signing people from the draft like Shavoshi, right, from the collegiate level. Um, so we need to find somebody that's, again, if we're talking about Cat Macario, why not say, hey, Cat, we have a huge Brazilian community. You play for the U.S. team, but you're Brazilian. Just come to our side. Give us a chance. Be the face of the franchise alongside Marta, and imagine having boost an attack with the likes of Macario and Banda fully healthy again. I think it's dream, and I think it tells the fans, hey, buy your season tickets now. Like, pack the stadium, right? It kind of tells the fans to continue this ball rolling, not to just die down just because Haley's not here. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, so we need to get somebody in soon. I have some comments, really. It says, I don't think Marta would want to do that, LOL. I don't get the feeling that she likes paperwork.
On Cat Macario, I think that she's, well, several things. One, she would be, I think, great for our attack in the sense that you said you put her in a number 10 position behind, Banda. You could play Marta and Ovalle on the wings, and then that's a front four that I would say is arguably one of the best in the league, if that's what you're looking at. Or you could play 2 strikers and play Cat and Barbara as a double up front, and then maybe just play 2 attacking mids in Marta and Ovalle, and kind of have more defensive numbers behind them. So that's how it could work. I think the other thing that's important here, Luis, and I think the ambition and drive that we've seen from the Wilf ownership group, like, that shouldn't just go away because Haley Carter's gone, right? And I think bringing in a player like Cat Macario shows that drive and that ambition and that, same level of, we're not afraid to go out and spend money that we did with Barbara and that we've done with Jacquie. So I think this would be continuing in that vein. And of course, the article that Jeff put out earlier today, talking about the fact that the high impact player rule is still potentially coming down the line. We'll get more into that in a bit and what's going on with that. But the high impact player rule really only applies to American players, which was a whole other issue. But if that is the case and they do bring it in, there's only so many players that can qualify to be a high impact rule. Like you got to be a U.S. women's national team star that can put butts in seats. You got to be, Rodman level S. You've got to be somebody that is a real attraction for U.S. women's national team fans. And therefore, that would activate the high impact, threshold or whatever mechanic is needed to be able to pay her out of this $1 million that you'd be able to use for a high impact player. I don't like any of this rule or whatever, but if they're going to do it, we should take advantage. And Cat Macario is the kind of player that you 100% could take advantage. And we could bring her in and have her on the roster, and it wouldn't impact our current roster layout, or we wouldn't have to move major mountains to make room in the budget because this rule would happen. So this is why I'm concerned of, like, if this is a player that we want right now, not having a GM is like, that's an issue, because if Haley was here and this had happened, I can imagine she would be straight in for Cat, trying to make her our first, high impact player. So I want to see that same level of ambition and drive. And this is a player that would really be exciting and really turn heads and put butts in seats.
100%. And again, it shows the ambition of where the club is going to go. I know for a fact that she could be signing a pre-contract with the new team starting at the beginning of the year, so January, but her Chelsea contract expires on July 1st. So she's going to we could secure her. Again, I mean, it's just the way, how you want to see this. It's either you want to be bold and show and get your high impact player right now and secure Cat Macario. Let's say, okay, Cat, we're gonna go and pay 1.3 million. We believe you're it, and we sign the contract, the pre-contract now for 1.3 million. We know that after Chelsea, she parts ways with Chelsea, she's gonna come to train with Orlando, and obviously, I don't know if the team is gonna have to, just kind of band is gonna have to be it until Macario shows up, and kind of boost some of the rest of the team with NWSL level ready talent, or we decide that Macario is not it, and we find somebody that's ready to win now, ready to go now for preseason, So I personally like the second option. I personally like Macario, just securing Macario now. I think she's gonna have a phenomenal UN's women national team tenure right now with Emily, with the coach of the US team, and I think she could fit perfectly in our system. So why not secure Macario, man? But she comes from my Chelsea, bro. Love her to have her.
Yeah, and like I said, there's not many players that would qualify for this high impact rule. So like, and a lot of them are in the league here. You're really looking at, USA players. So if you're not bringing them, if you're not trying to steal one away from NWSL players, which I just don't think anybody would do. If they do bring in the high impact player rule, why would you then trade away a player that you can use this rule on in your roster? So I think all the ones that are in NWSL that qualify for this rule are immediately just going to be put onto that in their own team to relieve the roster space. So I don't think you can get one from inside the league. And therefore, it's really just a list of US national team stars who don't play here. And that's not a very long list.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I think what I like the most is the age, the upside. Obviously, she come from some nagging injuries, but I think she could still deliver, and I think she'll benefit tremendously just playing in Orlando. I think the weather, being close to Brazil, just a lot of positives. coming here, and we just need to have the blessing from the Wolves that they're willing to make this happen. You know what I mean? I would hate for her to sign with somebody like Portland or something like that, or San
Yeah.
Diego.
I
It'll
mean,
annoy me.
there's no mention. It's that typical, teams interested. But I like to think that we're one of the teams. I think also like your LAs, your New Yorks, right? They're always going to be high on the list. Probably Kansas City, like any of the big, Washington, any of these big teams that are maybe not them because they're trying to figure out Rodman, but any of the teams with big ambitions that are willing to go spend serious money, then it doesn't matter. Like Cat Macario will work in any team. She can be a striker, she could be a 10. I don't think she's a bad pickup for anybody. So it's more about where does Cat want to go, right? And let's hope that Orlando is a place that attracts her. I mean, playing with Marta, playing with Banda, playing with Ovalle, I think it could be an attractive prospect. At the moment, we are one of the more attractive teams to come to in NWSL. So we got to hope that we're in for her, and we are one of these teams. We might not be. We might be speculating here. But I like to think that we are. And also, I think, Luis, like I said, we got to hope that the ambition and the drive is there from the Wilfs the same, now that Haley's gone. It shouldn't matter. We should still be able to have that drive to be able to
100%.
bring in the best executives and the best players to be able to, go out and win NWSL Cup again, get back in the Champions Cup again, and keep that prestige of being one of the best teams in North America. And signing Cat Macario would be a big symbol that we are here to stay and we're not going anywhere.
100%. I think this is a it'll be a great signing for the league. It'll be a great signing for Orlando Pride. It makes sense. It's a need that we have. I mean, and again, we can boost the rest of the positions using somebody like Cat Connor, which is somebody part of the um, scouting and analytics team that we have in the Orlando Pride currently. The ones that we're able to bring, the likes of Summer Yates and the likes of Carrie Avello and Emily Sams. So Orlando already. The good thing about Orlando is we already have a system in place that's it's so well placed by Haley that you can if you bring somebody with that is forward thinking that has that drive to make it work, it could run on its own right now, and so we just got to continue the ball rolling and not just be okay, we won the double, we'll see you in 10 years, guys. You know what I mean? Like, let's
Yeah,
not
do
be that
not
team.
let's
Let's
not
not
go
be.
backwards.
Yeah, let's not go backwards. I
We
think it's
we
just
didn't
the
make
fact.
all these signings and get this ambitious and build up our squad to go backwards.
100%. And I don't think the Wolves are going to that direction either, especially investing also on the you know young Pride academy and
Yeah.
all the stuff that they're doing. So I don't see the Wolves going that route. So I just can't wait to see the changes happening. I think I understand it's the holidays, right? But once I get a clear answer from the club, I'll let you guys know for sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of move on to talking more about what's happening in the league in a wider sense because it's still going on, these debates, the Rodman rule or the high impact player rule. Initially what happened was, to give you the full backstory, the Washington Spirit and Rodman proposed a deal to the NWSL that was going to average over $1 million a year, and it was like backloaded, so it would increase year on year. And they had a particular issue with one of the years, I think it was 2028, and so the league rejected that. And then what happened was the NWSLPA they filed a grievance on Rodman's behalf, which is essentially just saying like you can't to the NWSL, you can't reject this based on your the CBA and the rules that have agreed to. They feel like that contract that was suggested by Washington Spirit and Rodman should have been approved. There's salary cap concerns, which is basically what the NWSL was saying, is they didn't feel like the way that they were planning it was going to allow for this to happen. But there's been in the past situations where teams have loaded players' salaries with the idea that the salary cap would increase, and because they know that like it's going to increase over time. So there's a bit of back and forth here between what the NWSLPA wants to see, what Washington and Rodman and her camp wants to see, and then what NWSL will actually allow. So the NWSL proposed the high impact player rule, essentially to get around this, which we've talked about, which would allow teams to spend an additional $1 million over the salary cap on star players. It's unclear as to whether it's multiple star players or whether it's just a star player, but based on some of the rules that are out there in the initial, proposal of what we've seen, and none of this is 100% yet. We're just getting information from Jeff, who's getting it from, the league and all these parties. They're saying that you would only be able to use this on, like we talked about, U.S. women's national team star players that essentially bring in a certain amount of financial gain from being in your team. So you could just justify paying them the extra million because you're essentially going to see that in rewards. Think your Alex Morgans, think your Rodmans, for example. They need to be somebody that is really high impact in that way, both on the field and off the field. I have a lot of issues with the high impact rule. We can get into that more after this. But what the NWSLPA said was that basically they rejected the idea of the high impact rule, calling it half baked, which I really love that quote. Megan Burke, who is the president of the NWSLPA, ex-player, lawyer, very much in the Haley Carter level of impressiveness of what she's done in her career, leading the way here, kind of going back to the NWSL saying, we don't agree with these parameters that you've laid out. We don't think they're correct. We don't think this is like a good way to judge players based on, these parameters that you've seen. And so that's kind of where we're at now. And the NWSL has time to like get back to them. So we're waiting in this period where these two, entities are figuring out how they can make this a thing. But it does seem like the NWSL wants to push forward with the high impact rule. And it's probably figuring out the ins and outs, but we'll figure out in time for Trinity Rodman to sign a new contract. I don't know. More likely than not, some team in England or wherever in Europe that doesn't have any salary restrictions is going to give her an offer, and we figure this out. He's probably going to leave. So there's a lot of different viewpoints happening here, but that's where we're at with the whole Rodman high impact player situation.
John, I think your audio is cutting in and out just now.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
So just kind of to develop what John was saying while he comes back, his audio was kind of failing a little bit. So I have some issues too with this, and look, if you're gonna do it for one, the thing is, what the union is saying, it's true. I mean, what does it determine to be a high caliber or high impact player? And now I think it'd be easier to just raise the cap 2 million each team, and then just and then you could divide it however you decide. I mean, I just think that it's not good for the sport, in my opinion, because what do you tell people like Barbara Banda, for example, Barbara Banda, Barbara Banda, for example, she may have she's not a name per se, right? She's not uh, a Sophia Smith or whatever, but she's Barbara Banda. So metrically, she is super high impact, but she's not. So what determines to be a high impact player? And so that's going to be something that's going to be a little bit convoluted when it comes to this particular rule. So I think they should just either get rid of the ceiling, because that's how you compete, just no cap, you know what I mean? But what's not gonna happen when there's no cap? When there's no cap is, every man for himself, like some of the teams are gonna die and some of the teams are gonna survive. Now you have to have a system in which your league survives. But if you raise just the overall salary cap to 1.5 million or 2 million, I just think the team can choose to spend that extra million on one star or among 5 mid-level starters, to build a better overall squad. I just think that to me, it's sounds a little better. I know that they are trying to, I know that Jessica Berman is saying that this structure was built for a different era. That's what I saw in the interview. But I just think just get rid of all of it. John, what are your thoughts? Well, you're breaking. Oh, he left. Well, hopefully he gets back. It says, I don't get the feeling that she likes paperwork. Oh, well, both side words. There you go. There you go, John. You there?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was cutting out there during my explanation.
Go run it back.
I hope you got most of it. Essentially, there's a really, really good episode where Megan Burke went on a podcast that Julie Foudy does and Abby Wambach. I can't remember. I think it's called Party People or something like that. Go watch that, because Megan Burke kind of tells everything to them and what's been happening. And like you said, Luis, the conclusion of where we're at is Megan Burke and the team there, NWSLPA, suggested to the NWSL that they just simply raise the salary cap now by $1 million instead of adding, the high impact player rule,
Right.
which would allow for the same thing to happen. You're still spending $1 million more, but there's none of this stipulation of, what is or isn't, a high impact player. And I think that's where we get into this gray area. Megan talked about the fact that there was a lot of resistance. Like they send, their proposals to all the players. And I think on our team, I believe it's Carrie Abello and Haley McCutcheon, which are representatives. I know Simone Charlie was on the executive team, but obviously she just ran out of contract with us. So we have people who are getting this information and able to feed back from our club perspective. And the overwhelming information was that basically they just don't like this idea. It's universally considered confusing and not wanted, because you're then adding the idea that some players are worth more than others, and you're getting into the whole MLS DP argument. And, I just don't think we need to do that. So I really like the suggestion from the NWSLPA that they just go ahead and raise the salary cap now by $1 million, which is what we said the NWSL should have done, like way before we even got to this point.
Right. I mean, that makes more sense. I mean, that makes more sense. And not only that, you're not upsetting anybody. Again, and if we're trying to do things differently, and say we're equal, and all that stuff, we gotta practice what you preach. You know what I mean? You can't just tell Carrie Abello, hey, by the way, you're you're not good enough. You're not a high impact player. I think one thing that differentiated the Pride run in 2024 was that nobody could say, yeah, Banda, tremendous talent, all of that, but everybody in that field was a high impact player. I mean, from Emily,
Yeah.
from
I mean, that's
even
the crazy thing. Banda wouldn't be a neither would Marta.
exactly,
Like, what?
Banda
Like,
wouldn't be a
of
high
course they
impact
are.
player. Marta wouldn't be a high impact player. So it just seems so divisive, man. I just think it's a dumb. We're doing everything backwards.
Yeah, I don't think, I hope that they go with the NWSLPA suggestion and just raise the salary cap. I want to say, of course, here on the team, Simone Charlie she's the vice president for the players. Of course, recently our player Carrie Bello and Haley McCutcheon are our representatives, as well as old Pride players like Danny Weatherholt here, for example. So, yeah, that we are having an opinion in this and what is being decided here, and I think probably the Pride players on our side, I know Haley Carter spent time to make sure that like she's paying all of the Pride players above the league minimum because she didn't want anybody in the Pride team to be on that little amount of money. So that's something that the Orlando Pride has done to build out their roster in that way. But that's not all the case. So I think it's important that you have this end of this LPA, that they have the collective bargaining agreement so that they can fight for the players that are not these high impact players, right? Like, I'm not worried about the Rodmans of the world. Rodman is going to be fine. Even if she doesn't sign here, she's going to sign somewhere and she's going to get a load of money. The NWSLPA is there to protect everybody. So resisting this move, I think, is a way of saying, hey, we're not okay with this because this is just for certain players that like are already going to be fine anyway. What you need to do is raise everybody, what's it, Luis? A rising tide raises all boats or whatever. That's
That's right.
that's all we're doing. If you add the $1 million across the board, everybody can get paid more because you can spread it out. If you just say it for one player or one high impact player, not only are you creating separation, but you're only benefiting players that don't need it.
No, 100%. And again, um, it's just not good at all. And if we're trying to be again the best league in the world, hip ain't it. That's right. Hip ain't it.
Hip is not hip,
They
Hip
should
is
make that a
uncool.
shirt. Shinta, you should make that a shirt. Hip ain't it. There you
The
go.
hips don't lie. I keep thinking about that.
The hips don't lie. The hips do lie. The
The hips be unfair. Let's be real.
hips be unfair. That's right. There you go. But hopefully they just raise the salary cap. I mean, I'm with you. I think we think very alike on this, John.
Yeah,
Me
I don't
because I
want to
come
turn
from
into MLS roster rules.
yeah, me because I come from South America in which there's no salary cap. You feel the club who has the most money is the one who's going to always win the championships.
Yeah,
And it's going to poach the best players, and it just creates a really unnatural disparity between other regions within South America with other regions. So, and also
yeah.
markets, right? Like the Brazilian market and the Argentinian market and things like that.
Mm,
Are we really going to do the same thing in the United States again? Coming from the MLS side, in which, yeah, they have a salary cap thing, they have a DP
yeah.
rule, but I mean, it's been that system in for decades. And in a way, I rather prefer that than just being a whole free fall, right?
A lot of the MLS rules are created as like safety barriers, and like I feel like it's completely different with the NWSL because NWSL is at the top of the women's soccer game. And so it's about maintaining that. It's not like at MLS where they were trying to, grow in the men's game and always having these larger, better leagues around. I think the issue with NWSL is you've gotta stay at the top. In order to do that, you gotta pay the most money, just like the WSL or any of the Champions Cup teams will over in Europe. So I think that's the issue is right now we're up against the cap. I think we should have a cap. I like the fact that we have a cap. It makes NWSL more even. There's more parity because of that. But when it restricts being able to keep the best players in the league, then it's a problem. So it has to be raised in according with the global market to keep up with demand globally so that we can keep the best players, so we can keep Rodman. And they didn't do that. And I think that if you don't do that, then yeah, you will lose your players to Chelsea, to, Bayern, to Lyon, because why won't they go there if they're not going to be able to, if they're going to get paid more? It's just simple math. Eventually, someone in your squad's going to feel like they deserve more money, and you won't be able to pay them that because you have resources tied up somewhere else. And it might be a small player, it might be a big player, but more and more players will be lost over to Europe because we just can't pay them enough within our salary cap. And so if you want to say the best league in the world, you've got to be competitive with the other best leagues in the world.
100%. 100%. And we have Shinta says here, cap is already going up a ton in 2027. Bye-bye, Rodman. Sorry, your club didn't plan for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, that's the other part of it is like, well, this is what happens. This is why we have a cap, right? You could argue that point is, sorry, your team's so expensive.
Plus, I really, with all due respect, I don't think, Rodman's a good player, but she is not, to me, the most impactful player in the NWSL.
I mean, that's where they're really leaning on the commercial side with her, right? She hasn't even played that many games recently. She's been injured a lot. I think it's a big risk as well. Like with her injury, we talked about this before. Like she's not a nailed on Chewinga 20 goal a season player. She might be, but she hasn't really proven that yet. The other thing is Sophia Wilson, they exercised her option, which was already planned before all of this, that she's now making $1 million a year. And so they planned for that in the increases of the salary cap that were going to come. So it can be accounted for, and it can be done. Like Shinta says, they just didn't plan for that with Rodman. And so now you have a situation where hard choices must be met. I wonder if they don't pass the hip rule, is Haley gonna try and offload players so she can fit, Rodman in her salary cap? It's gonna be interesting to see.
No, yeah, 100%. And look, I have a feeling that hopefully Jessica Berman, which I've met in person, hopefully she could see through the writing on the wall and do the right thing, and just raise the cap, and
Either raise the cap or don't raise the cap.
don't raise the cap, just let her walk.
Don't add mechanics for one player, because that's the other thing. Like optics wise, it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good
if you're like, hey, we love Rodman and so much, we're gonna bend all the rules for this one player. Like everyone else will use it for their NWSL U.S. Women's National Team stars, sure, but it'll always be known as the rule that was created, just like the David Beckham DP rule is for MLS.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And but bro, David Beckham came in his prime, you know what I mean? Like, with all due respect, that I could say that maybe,
I mean, if you're comparing apples to apples, I don't think David Beckham and Rodman are on the same
exactly
global fame level at the
Yeah.
time, right? When David Beckham came, he was still one of the biggest names in global soccer. I think Rodman's probably one of the bigger names in women's global soccer, but I don't know if she's established legendary status than someone like that. Got she's still early in her career. She's got a lot to do to become, a legendary player. And this kind of rule is suited for players in butts and seats.
I completely agree with you. And again, hopefully they do the right thing. I mean, I think the better do the right thing, and because as a team, I think we also can get affected because what's that going to speak to Banda? Is Banda may want to get into that money too, high impact player. Emily Sams is going to say, hey, I don't know, Portland Thorns can say, hey, Emily, I want to, you're not a high impact player for Orlando, but you're an impact player for us. come over, right? And so that could change a lot of things also. I mean, hopefully the NWSL is listening and they're not able to pull the plug. They're able to pull the plug on this dumb idea, in my opinion.
All right, Luis. I put out on social media if we had any questions for today's podcast, and I got some great responses. So I'm going to
Fantastic.
fire them at you. We've got Derek Parker asking on the Facebook group saying, any chance of signing Cat Macario? I mean, I think we talked about that. Or any other national team players. Luis, you got any other national team players you'd love to see Orlando Pride sign?
I mean, I would love. I mean, the one that I wanted to see was Sophia Smith. But the next one that I would like to see at some point poach out of Portland is Moultrie. I think Moultrie will be amazing.
That would be a massive scoop. I don't see Portland letting her go.
Yeah. Well, for $10 million.
I'd take Lola Labonta. I mean, she's like
Lola
national
Bonta.
team, you know. Like I said, a lot of the ones in the NWSL, I just don't know if you're going to be able to steal them away. You have to pay a lot of money, and they're less likely. Maybe there's one that I would really love to see is Lily Johannes. That would be
Oh,
epic.
that'd be
She's one
amazing.
that you could bring into the league from outside if you spend a lot of money.
Yeah, that'd be
Chat, you
amazing.
got any U.S. women's national team stars you want to see? Like we said, if the hip rule is a thing, we might as well just go and get one because you're not even going to have them against your
Well,
salary cap. It's incentive to
you
go
know who I
buy
would
a
love to
U.S.
see.
women's national team star.
You know who I would like to see next to McCutcheon?
Yeah,
Lindsay Heaps.
I thought you were going to bring up Lindsay Heaps. That I wouldn't hate that. Like a return to U.S. kind of. She's still got it in her locker. That would be and that would be a hip player, I think.
It says shit. Three spots open is being crickets. Euro transfer window opens in 2 weeks.
I think it's crickets because we haven't got a GM. One thing follows the other.
Yeah, maybe we should bid for Popping Pattinson to be our. No, I'm just kidding. She just signed for a different club, but no Heaps. If she comes back, it'll be Denver. Denver. Really?
Denver just signed Carson Pickett.
And it has also Ali Watt.
Congratulations to Ali Watt, who just got married. Congratulations to Haley Mace and Rafael, who just got engaged. Congratulations to Corey Dyke, who just got engaged. So everybody in the offseason is making personal moves.
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing. That's great news. Glad to get Cat, but she's likely going to the West Coast. Man.
I could see Angel City. I could see that.
Another Angel City
Or
again
with Wave.
Yeah, true.
Seattle, Portland.
I mean, Orlando will fit her perfectly, but I don't know. That's something like Marta will have to have some convincing since there's no GM. Be like, hey, Kat, you want to play with the best in the world? I mean, if Marta calls you personally, just says, hey, you want to play my team? I mean, how can you not say no? You know what I mean? Maybe in LA, Priska needs to call Kat so she says no.
More questions from the viewers. Another one on Facebook. This was Bill Hughes, who asked who will be a top sporting director daily career. Bill, that we're speculating about a positive. We talked about candidate. I would like to see a foreign and come in and I'm also asking
Sorry, John. You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up completely. I cannot hear you. Sorry, man. Come. Try come back in. Try come back in. Glad to get Cat, but she's likely going to the West Coast. It says. It says 3 spots open is being crickets. Yeah, I mean, I think the GM search. I mean, I'm gonna. I mean, I don't want to bother the club right now. I mean, they're probably wrapping presents, but I'm gonna send an email. I already have it all ready to go, and I'm gonna ask the club because no one has any idea. And again, we got to be able to start this preseason on a good foot. You know, um, people already have a little bit of a distaste in their mouths after last season. But there you go, John. You're back. Sorry, go back with your question again.
I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight. It does not like me. All right. Bill Hughes was asking about who's going to replace Haley Carter. We don't know the answer to that, Bill, but we have some candidates we'd like. We talked about that on our last podcast. I mentioned some candidates out of Europe. Also, he asked, what is the schedule for this year? It's not fully out yet, but we do have some preliminary dates. So the Challenge Cup, which is the NWSL Cup winner versus the Shield winner, that will be on February 20th. And then the regular season begins on March 13th. And most likely they're going to break for the World Cup. So expect that to happen because a lot of the stadiums that we would use are like crossover into NWSL stadiums.
Yeah, 100%. And the Challenge Cup February the 20th, right? I think you mentioned that already as well. The NWSL Championship November 21st, so right before Thanksgiving. So KC is getting all the good under 18, says Shinta. Give me a whole new scouting department. Are you sure? Are you sure? I don't know if I want a whole new scouting department, but I certainly would love to. Yeah. You're okay now, John. Yeah, you're good.
Another question. We've got Kate McBride on Facebook. She was saying, how do we get Cat Macario? I feel like we talked about that one. And would that even be a good fit? She says, trying to think long term after Marta. What do you think about how she would fit in the team, Luis?
Well, I think she could play the wing. I think also she could play as a second striker. I could either see her play as a kind of quasi 10. So she could play alongside the attacking third very well. She's not your typical American player. She has a lot of Brazilian flair. She could also, like she said, false nine. Yeah, Shinta. Yeah, false nine. So tactically makes sense. I think age makes sense. And also we will see how ambitious is the Orlando Pride on getting her. I mean, I think it'll be a tremendous pickup. I think it'll be literally what we're looking for. I think people compared Adriana. We didn't win anything because Adriana. I heard a couple of things. I read a couple of things about Adriana. And I think Kat, it's something two steps above Adriana right now. And I think it'll be tremendous having her as an Orlando Pride player, if you ask me.
Katie Pride also asking, do we have any thoughts on attack players we signed in the offseason that could complement Marta and Ovalle? What kind of players we want to sign to make this attack?
You cut off at the end. Can you repeat that, John? Sorry, bro.
I hate life today. What players would complement Marta and Banda and Jacquie in the attack would you like to see?
I mean, definitely we need on the right wing. We need now Ali Watt's not there. Now obviously Priska's gone. We need somebody that's going to be a 1-2 punch with Banda. Maybe we're going to see Oyane there, just like you said. Maybe Oyane and Mace playing that wing. That wouldn't be bad. But I think one thing that we would like to make a little bit of a splash is on a left winger for sure, um, and also a winger that can maybe play both flanks, and somebody that's going to compete with Angelina, because one of the reasons why sometimes even Barbara had to come back and tread back defensively is because unfortunately Angelina, it has not been the best season of Angelina this year, and we cannot go through that again, in my opinion. We cannot go through that again. So we need to lit a little bit of a fire in Angelina, and Seb needs to have more options. I don't know personally if Summer Yates is going to be that person that we're looking for, but I think we need somebody quality. And to me, I mean, I follow the USL Super League. One of the players that I would love to have, and I'm just saying, John's internet connection is struggling. There's a false side of words. It's okay. Um, one of the players I would love to have to definitely is ready to go. Puerta from Sporting Jacksonville. I mean, she's killing it. She scored 2 on Tampa last weekend. I mean, Puerta is killing it in the USL Super League. Why not getting somebody like Puerta from Sporting Jacks? Um, Definitely a experienced midfielder, also forward from FSU. So she's kind of like a Floridian. You know, she's trained with Benfica, Gotham FC. She's been invited for Madrid CFF. She's been part of the US national team camps. So, I mean, I think, in my opinion, even though the USL Super League wants her to stay, you cannot compete with NWSL money. And I think it would be good to, I mean, yeah, Puerto's still going to FSU for school. Yeah, I know. But I mean, I think I mean, to me, it'll be a no brainer. To me, it'll be a
You can still
splash.
finish school. Like it's still not, it's
Yeah,
doable.
homeschool, right? Little
Yeah.
online.
Um, I got another question. Bruna from the Facebook group also asking, curious what our starting defensive lineup would be next year. And do we have any updates on Banda's injury? No updates on Banda's injury. We're assuming she's going to be ready to go for preseason. I haven't heard anything that contradicts that. And then the starting defensive lineup, Luis, what do you have for that?
If you give me an Orlando Pride lineup for 2026, you're looking at Anna Morehouse. You're looking at Haley Mace, Emily Sams, Raffaele, and Carey. You
I think
see
so.
Haley McCutcheon, Angelina, Limos, Jacquie Ovalle on the left, Marta on the right, and then up top you got Barbara Banda. I don't know if I missed somebody. I think I missed one.
No,
Did I miss
you're
one?
good. You got them all.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. I think that's what
I
I
would
would.
like to see us go back to the 4-2-3-1,
Yeah,
and maybe we could put Jacquie Ovalle in the 10, and then
yeah,
you can play Oyane at right wing.
yeah, and Mart's on the left.
Yeah, I think Oyane right wing makes sense.
Yeah,
Like when they bring in Mace, you have Dyke. I think that's a natural like push her up to be more attacking. Maybe that's the new winger that we talked about. But maybe they'll bring in somebody else. Maybe they'll stick with the 4-3-3, like you said, Luis, playing Limos. But in terms of defensive four, I think our best defensive four is probably, like you said, in the back line, like Carey, Raffaele, Emily Sams, and Haley Mace are probably the most likely starting back four.
yeah, 100%. And I think Haley definitely a starter. I would like Haley to be the captain of the team, in my opinion. if not Marta, but I think Haley will be tremendous. She deserves it. Carrie Bella needs to be a starter. I think I would like to have definitely we're going to see Angelina there in the middle, and I think Oyana on the right, and like you said, Jackie in the middle instead of Angelina, and then Marta on the left. That'll be fantastic. And now Barbara Banda, I know. So she's right now, from my understanding, per club sources, Banda is deep into her rehabilitation program with Orlando Health. But she's expected to be ready for the 2026 preseason. Though the club, is going to monitor her injury. They don't be surprised if they may manage her minutes just to make sure that she comes back into the world class form as she was before. So it's going to be definitely a matter of how healthy she is too. So but she's definitely expected to be in preseason.
Any other things that you want to talk about on today's pod, Luis? I think I went through all the questions that people had, and I feel like we covered a lot of what people are asking.
Well, I want to just kind of on a closing note. I mean, just remain. We don't want to regress. We want to continue be the Orlando Pride that we should have been since the beginning. Always competing for titles, always being a protagonist in the league. Uh, and I think also, with that being said, the club also needs to be creative to bring butts in seats. I know it's a little tough, and I know a lot of things have improved tremendously. Keep supporting the team, through thick and thin. Things may not go sometimes the way we want to, but we want to make sure that we're always there to support. I've heard a lot of positive things from Orlando City fans, that have come into Pride games that were kind of skeptic about coming into Pride games, and now they cannot stop coming into Pride games. They love it. They think it's fantastic, and so they're getting like very hooked into, who is Emily Sams and who's Haley McCutcheon, and I've even seen, how fans after City by Gay D, you have fans for Orlando City kind of gather by where the players park and they say, hey, sign my jersey. I've seen that for the women's, so that it's huge. I've never seen that before. So we're making tons of progress. We got to continue that going. Hopefully the front office is taking all the right steps. I also wanted to thank you guys for this season. I mean, I think, now that we're coming into the holiday season, and I have nothing but thanks to express to every single one of you that consume our content and that watch our podcast and listen to our podcast. We will definitely continue to provide as best content as possible, even if there's not a lot to talk about half the time, but especially in the off season. We definitely are trying to do our very best. So, John, anything you want to add?
Yeah, sorry, my internet was so crazy today. I don't know what's going on. One of those afternoons. I saw lastly that we're talking about GMs and candidates. The Eintracht Frankfurt women's team just named Babette Peter their new sporting director. That's exactly the kind of candidate that I would like to go after. That was a candidate that they worked in Chicago Fire, they were over in Germany. This sort of level of impressiveness. This is the kind of thing I want to see us doing, going after somebody that can turn heads. So that was one I had on my list, but she's gone. So maybe we're looking at somebody like that. I have to hope we're looking at somebody that's really gonna be as good as Haley, or as almost as good as Haley, and impress us like that. So I'm hopeful, but I think that's all we want for Christmas is a new GM and a new star player, please.
That's right. That's right. It says, is Puerta? Yeah, I know. I like Puerta Shinta. Come on, cut me some slack. I need to upgrade. Need to upgrade the goalkeeper, right winger, and 10. Rest is pretty solid. Yeah, I agree with you. I think you hit it You hit it right in the head. I think a keeper, right winger. Um, we're gonna have complacency in this team. I think just one thing that we get a lot from Abello, we get a lot from Sam's, we get a lot from McCutcheon. Even Rafa, when she came back from her injury at the end of the season, she was solid. We need that attitude throughout the whole entire team. And I guess on the attacking third side, there were a lot of players, in my opinion, that were not pulling their weight. Either for injuries or just not really being their mind not being into the pride. I think one of the decisions of having Watt, dealing with like a wedding and also possibly, you know, thinking of Denver, that affected, Priska also getting upset at me for criticizing her. Then you have, Ovalle. It's just a lot of things, and we need
Yeah.
consistency. We need for these players this season to really kill it and to go into next season. It says Avello, Rafa, Sam's, Dyke, Mesa, right wing. Oh, Annie, thank you for your service. Bye. Come on, man.
I could see Mace at right wing. That might also happen. Dyke also, I think, deserves arguably to be a starting right back now.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. I have one more question from Blake Canada on X, who said, "Who is going to be the Haley Carter replacement?" Again, we wish we knew. And also curious about replacements for outgoing players, mainly in the forward positions to address. So, Luis, any NWSL strikers that we want to bring in as backup? I know we talked about Bethany Balser would be great to be that kind of number two behind Barbara. We definitely need some NWSL players that can score goals who isn't Barbara Banda and desperately in the nine position. We have no Simone Charlie. We have no Elise Bennett. We have no Mariana Laracat. Who's going to be able to score goals if Barbara's not ready at the beginning of the season because she's still coming back slowly. Hopefully she is, but there could be a situation where they want to bring her in slowly, and then we still don't have anybody. So, any thoughts on who you'd like to see come in for striker?
Whew. I mean, look, I would go for the collegiate side as well. You're talking about Bethany Balser. I think that's a proven finisher in the NWSL. Definitely somebody that we could target. She's a traditional nine, though. So Banda will have to play second striker if on a two striker deal. I know Ali Schlegel is probably going to North Carolina. I know that Kyra Carusa is available. That she's the nine of Republic of Ireland. She used to play for the Wave. But I would go for example, like there's like two players that I would love to see. I mean, again, it's far fetched, but if there was an NWSL draft, I'm sure there'll be number one and number two pick. EC Engel from Notre Dame, the 2025 ACC Offensive Player of the Year, 19 goals in 19 games. She's right now the number one striker prospect in America right now for collegiate. Jordan Dudley from Florida State as well, three-time All-America honors. And she was kind of already, in a way, scouted by Washington Spirit. But, I mean, again, if Orlando offers, to sign for a couple of, puts the cash on the table, she may want to come play to Orlando. I'm just saying. I think EC Angle will be easy angle. I
Be
think
a good
easy angle
angle.
will be tremendous, and
You're
plus
saying it'd be
easy
an easy angle to sign Izzy Angle?
exactly. And then you can just her jersey. She said IZZY, kind of be
Yeah.
like Aussie. It'll be Izzy.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's talk of a Pride 2 team down the works somewhere. That kind of got announced by the league before it was the thing, but I still think it's going to happen. So, we've got a lot of roster building to do. So that's why we need this GM in here. And with no draft, we're not getting like just, hey, you're going to get players regardless. We got to go out and start filling in young players. So, yeah, it's the Wild West. Let's go claim some players. But
Yeah, I
right
think
now, we need a GM still.
And not only that, I mean, I think when you go through the collegiate level, these are players that are already in their either junior or sophomore or senior seasons with their teams, and if they're scoring that high level goals, they're definitely going to make an impact in the NWSL. And again, as the brand has shown the past few years, we've gotten a lot of players from the collegiate level that are top class. Shavoshi, Sams, Corey Dyke, Ali Limos, like all these, there's a collegiate, Carrie Avello. So, I mean, Easy will fit right there. And again, she'll be a worker. She'll be right there to grow within the team. And why not? We could have a potential UN's women's national team striker, hopefully. You there, John? Oh, I think John left. There you go. Any more questions that we have here? I think John's internet really gave in. But yeah, I will love that for sure. I think Jordan Dudley as well. EC Angle will be great. I will love Ludmila, but Ludmila I think is under contract. Ludmila from Chicago. I think she's under contract still with Chicago. So they all came from the draft. The only college player that did it is Sarah. There you go. There you go. All right.
I think that's everything I want to talk about today, Luis, on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry for the technical difficulties to everybody, but make sure
I
that you are.
apologize, y'all.
It's okay. Make sure that you're supporting the pod. We're available on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as LP_podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you for your support. Make sure that you click on the notification bell for all notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on our social media accounts as well. And again, we hope that we get some more news. Hopefully, some more target. Hopefully, we hear back from the club when it comes to those questions that we have to ask about the GM. Hopefully, there's some news soon, and probably we get a New Year's or a Merry Christmas, May the 25th. There's a Merry Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day. We get a present from Santa Claus. Santa Seb.
I hope so. All right, everybody. If you've not done so, please go ahead and subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube and you can comment on there. You can follow us on any of the social media platforms that you like to use. We are on Threads. We're on Blue Sky. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're in all the social media. So wherever you like to listen or watch, go ahead and comment. Give us a subscription. Give us a like. We really appreciate it. It helps us grow. 2025 has been awesome, but we're hoping for even more in 2026. So we appreciate all of you and your support. And hopefully we'll have some news for you in the new year if things start to happen and we hear some rumors here or there on what's going on with player transfers and leadership in the club. So we appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you all next time. Vamos Pride.
Vamos Pride. Happy holidays. Thank you, guys.